Welcome back to the Deep Dive, where we take your mountains of source material, the articles, the research, the narratives, and distill them into the essential knowledge you need with a few surprising facts and just enough humor to keep you hooked. Today, we are strapping on our skates and diving headfirst into the high-stakes, highly secret world of professional hockey with Rachel Reid's phenomenal novel, The Long Game.
And this is a really intense source document. It's all centered on the professional and private lives of two NHL superstars. Shane Hollander, who's this meticulous, high-achieving forward for the Montreal Voyageurs.
Yeah.
And Ilya Rozanov, the super charismatic captain of the Ottawa Centaurs. And the whole narrative tension is just baked right into the premise. You have this rivalry that's so intense, it's, marketed across the entire league.
League loves it.
Oh, they exploit it. But the whole thing is a cover for a fiercely committed, decade-long romantic relationship.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Our mission today is to trace this couple's extraordinary and honestly often painful journey from this forced, deeply draining secrecy all the way to their eventual explosive public commitment. We're really looking at the pressures they face.
Yeah, the cost. The psychological, the emotional, and, the professional cost of hiding the absolute core of who you are while you're under the brightest spotlight in all of sports.
Absolutely. And before we really get into it, we have to acknowledge a very serious theme in this source material.
We do. It's crucial. The book includes mentions and pretty detailed descriptions of depression and suicide. And this isn't just incidental. It's integral to Ilya Rozanov's backstory. It's linked to his childhood trauma, and it's absolutely central to his current struggle with mental health.
Which is one of the biggest emotional arcs in the whole story.
It is.
That context is vital. It really sets the stage for understanding just how complicated these two men are. So let's start with Shane Hollander, the star from Montreal.
Yeah.
He's meticulous, he's openly gay to his very small inner circle, and he is just hyper-focused on professional excellence.
And he's got the hardware to prove it. He's already won the Stanley Cup and the Conn Smythe Trophy.
And for anyone who might not follow hockey that closely, the Conn Smythe is for the most valuable player in the entire playoffs, not just the regular season. That's a huge deal.
It's a massive distinction, and winning that award just reinforces Shane's need for this rigid structure, for absolute control. His success basically validates his whole meticulous lifestyle.
This whole life is defined by organization, diet, performance optimization.
And then you contrast that with Ilya Rozanov, the Ottawa captain. He's openly bisexual, he's magnetic, he's the ultimate captain, the life of the party. He's the guy everyone wants to be around.
But the source material just strips that veneer away almost immediately.
Right away. It shows that this joyful, kind of bubbly persona is really just a mask for this deep, profound inner turmoil. He's got these severe emotional issues he's trying to manage completely on his own.
Their rivalry, this epic battle between the Voyageurs and the Centaurs, it isn't just a convenient backdrop, right?
Not at all. It's the central institutional obstacle they have to overcome every single day. The league, the media, the fans, they all demand that they be enemies. And that expectation, it complicates every single facet of their secret life together.
Which brings us right into the heart of it all.
Yeah.
The double life. It's this incredible paradox.
It really is. On the surface, you have these highly competitive, aggressive rivals, but underneath, they have been fiercely committed lovers for a decade, and that required them to carve out these intense, almost spiritual sanctuaries just to survive.
Yeah, the summers. The sources keep coming back to how critical that time is. Their home on the lake, Shane's cottage, that is where the professional masks just drop completely.
That's where they can relax, be vulnerable, even be silly. It's the place Ilya really, truly prefers to be. It's where he feels safe.
And he has a tattoo of a loon, right?
Right.
Which represents that safe haven.
Exactly. It's this visual representation of that connection to the lake, to the privacy they crave. But the paradox is, while the summer is their salvation, the other 8 months of the year are just pure strain.
And you see just how essential their operational security is when you look at the lengths they go to. I mean, they've been together over 10 years.
A decade.
And for a lot of that time, just defining their togetherness was a challenge. They were relying on these, intensely communicated texts, and Shane sending these long, detailed messages, and Ilya responding with his classic dry humor.
Just scraping by on stolen moments. Ilya says it himself in the source material that keeping the secret for so long is physically and emotionally draining.
And the specifics of their secrecy during the season are they're fascinating because they highlight this constant fear of being caught.
Oh yeah, like during training camp, the risk is so high. Shane actually warns Ilya, not even behind closed doors, not until we get home.
Wow.
So this isn't just professional caution, it's the necessity of maintaining two completely separate lives.
And the risk isn't just the league or the fans. It's their own teammates, their friends. They're in constant anxiety about being discovered, especially by people like Shane's friend and alternate captain, JJ.
Right, who never really warmed to Ilya anyway, so a discovery by JJ wouldn't just be an outing, it would feel like a betrayal of their friendship.
The inner circle who knew the truth was so tiny, which just underscores the immense risk involved.
So tiny. You had Shane's teammate Hayden Pike, who Ilya, affectionately finds not smart, but admits is a really good father.
Right.
Then there's Ryan Price, the retired NHL player who is gay and became this key confidant after he accidentally walked in on them kissing.
Which, again, must have been a terrifying moment.
Oh, absolutely. But it turned out to be a lifeline. And then, of course, you have the stability of Shane's family. His parents, Una and David, are incredibly supportive.
They love Ilya. They basically create this supportive family bubble for Shane. Later on, David even helps Ilya with his cufflinks at the wedding and calls him a second son.
That kind of unconditional acceptance is just priceless for Shane, who really leans on Ilya for his emotional grounding.
But then they take this massive professional leap of faith. They tell their agent, Farah.
And it wasn't even a planned conversation. Ilya, in this moment of just emotional reckoning, he just blurts out, "I am bisexual," and Shane has to immediately jump in and confirm, "and we are together."
And her reaction must have been everything.
A massive life-altering relief. She just says, "I love you guys and I'm happy for you," which is the complete opposite of what they'd been fearing from the hockey world for a decade.
And that relief was earned because the secrecy was already causing cracks in the relationship itself.
It was. There's this key moment of tension where Shane is worried Ilya might leave him for some cute guy, which sounds small, but it digs into this deep insecurity Ilya has carried for years.
This feeling that he isn't stable enough or not a safe choice.
Exactly. And Shane has to look him right in the eye and say, "I'm yours, you know that." The stress of the facade, it just inevitably bleeds into their relationship, making everything feel so fragile.
That fragility, that immense psychological strain, it leads us right into the core conflict, this clash between their identities, their lifestyles, and their approaches to wellness.
Right, Section 3. Shane's entire existence, validated by that Conn Smythe trophy, is built around peak performance and absolute control.
His focus is meticulous to an extreme. We see him with this strict performance diet, eating salmon and garden salad or the zucchini lasagna.
And it's all driven by this fear of his body breaking down as he gets closer to 30. He fears that any slip in control means a slip in performance, and that means losing everything.
And this rigidity becomes a huge source of tension because Ilya is basically the philosophical opposite of that.
Completely. Shane affectionately, or maybe exasperatedly, calls him a stoner teenage goat because of his eating habits. Greasy sausage, chicken parmesan, huge amounts of eggnog.
It creates this conflict where Shane sees Ilya's habits as unprofessional, dangerous to his career, while Ilya probably sees Shane's rigid structure as a little joyless.
Yeah, like a wall built up against any real emotional spontaneity. And for Shane, every professional success just reinforces his belief that his controlling lifestyle is the only way to stay at the top. He thinks that control is what saved him.
But the real depth here, of course, is what's going on beneath Ilya's charismatic surface.
Exactly. Despite being an all-star captain, he is wrestling with severe mental health issues. This is where the source material really confronts those deep themes we mentioned at the start.
His struggles are tied to his childhood trauma, right? Specifically dreams about his mother.
And this overwhelming fear that his current depressive state, his feelings of worthlessness, are how it had started for his mother, which strongly suggests a family history of suicide.
And you get these brutal glimpses into his inner monologue. He's wondering if he's worthless, despite all his success, despite his relationship with Shane.
And compounding all of that is the harsh judgment of his father, a high-ranking, critical Russian cop who preferred the KHL system back home.
Okay, let's pause on the KHL detail, because that's significant.
It is. For a lot of Russian fans, the KHL is seen as the purer league, prioritizing national pride. So Ilya's father's preference, it signals this rejection of the global celebrity and maybe the softer culture of the NHL.
So it's another layer of cultural pressure and shame on Ilya, making his feelings of failure even worse.
And this perfect storm of trauma, secrecy, and pressure becomes the breaking point where Shane has to step in.
And he does it in a very Shane way. He suggests Ilya deal with his feelings professionally.
Which leads Ilya to start seeing a Russian-speaking psychologist named Galina. And this is a massive step for Ilya because he realizes that in her office, he can't lie like he has everywhere else his whole life.
And this is where that theme of radical honesty really begins to take hold.
It is. Ilya goes into Galina's office, and for the first time, he reveals the entire secret. His relationship with Shane, the rivalry, the decade of hiding. This choice is so profound because it links his healing directly to dismantling the secret.
And Galina, the therapist, she gives him this clinical framework for everything he's been going through.
She does. She systematically identifies the key stressors. 1, the dangerous, physically taxing nature of hockey. 2, the debilitating strain of hiding a massive secret in the spotlight. 3, the weight of childhood trauma he's never addressed. And 4, the simple fact that he feels things very deeply.
So it's not just one thing, it's all of it interlocked.
Exactly, and her insight is the key to his healing. He realizes that just relying on Shane and the high of winning games wasn't fixing the core problem. The darker thoughts were actually getting worse.
He has this great analogy, right? He hopes he's just a Ferrari that needs a tune-up.
And not one that needs to be rebuilt from the ground up to avoid the scrapyard. That vulnerability, admitting he's afraid of being scrapped, is just huge.
And Galina tells him he needs to talk to Shane. Really talk.
Because they'd been protecting their precious time alone at the expense of true intimacy. So that shift toward radical honesty, first with Galina and then eventually with Shane, that's the first massive step.
And it sets the stage for how they start to negotiate the pressures of the outside hockey world, which is Section 4. They're in a league that structurally wants them to be silent.
Which makes their few connections to the very small queer hockey community even more vital for their survival.
That double date with Ryan Price and his boyfriend Fabian Sella, it provides this crucial outside perspective.
It really does. Because Fabian isn't a hockey guy. He's a musician with periwinkle blue fingernails, and he just asks why the rivalry even matters if they already run a charity together. He makes it sound fundamentally unimportant.
Which has to force Shane and Ilya to confront how much power they've given to the league's narrative.
And the conversation immediately turns to the fans. Ryan points out that the queer hockey fans have been universally happy for him since he came out.
But Shane, ever the pragmatist, is stuck on the backlash from mainstream hockey fans.
Yeah.
He's convinced it would be a fucking shit show that would destroy his legacy.
His fear is all tied to keeping the secret. But then Fabian pushes back with this incredibly insightful question. He asks, isn't that hiding a distraction too?
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. He argues that the secrecy itself, the constant fear, that's the real distraction from peak performance. And that question just lands so hard on both of them.
And at the same time, Ilya starts building his own support system inside his own team.
Yes, with the rookie Troy Barrett. He starts mentoring him, and then Troy comes out to Ilya as gay. And Ilya reciprocates, confirming he's bisexual,
Right.
Which is a huge step for Ilya to be that open in that environment.
It gives him someone else to talk to about it, a peer.
Exactly. It's a bridge out of that total isolation. You even see Shane get a little bit jealous of Troy because he gets to share this locker room intimacy with Ilya.
But the heavy hand of the league is never far away. The ultimate authority figure, Commissioner Crowell, summons Shane for a meeting.
And it's described as just chilling. Crowell is the CEO of the league. His word is law. And he praises Shane for keeping his private life private, for putting hockey first.
Basically, for keeping everyone comfortable.
Exactly. His goal is to maintain this traditional, controlled image. He quickly brings up his disapproval of activism, referencing Scott Hunter, another openly gay NHL player who, he says, crosses the line.
So the message is clear.
Crystal clear. The meeting felt like an indirect threat to Shane. Stay quiet about your life or risk your career. This puts a name and a face to the very entity that demands their silence.
And that chilling meeting, it really sets up the ultimate stakes for their relationship, which leads us right into Section 5. Crisis, climax, and commitment.
And the internal crisis hits hard first, right around Christmas. Ilya is just craving normalcy, which is fueled by his therapy. He suggests Shane come to a low-key team party.
Basically asking him to come out to his Centaurs teammates.
And Shane, who's still terrified of Crowell's threat, he just rejects the idea as too weird, and Ilya's just infuriated. He feels like he's the only one making any sacrifices.
And the argument just explodes over that word, sacrifices.
It does. Ilya, in this torrent of rage, argues Shane hasn't given up anything, pointing out that he left Boston, he left his home country, he changed his whole life to be near Shane in Ottawa.
And Shane defends his own career risk, but the core issue is, what's the priority? They both end up asking if the other would choose the relationship over hockey.
And Ilya is so enraged by Shane's hesitation that he forces him to leave. Shane is left feeling terrified that he's just ruined everything.
The secrecy has just made their foundation so brittle.
And then, almost immediately, the external crisis hits and puts everything in this painful, stark perspective.
It's a plane.
Ilya's team plane has an engine failure, an emergency landing. And Ilya, genuinely fearing he's going to die, sends Shane these intense Instagram messages.
Revealing the full depth of his commitment. He says, "Whatever happens, I am with you, safe in your heart. I believe it."
And Shane gets these messages and has this immediate, devastating realization that if Ilya had died, he would have had to grieve secretly, alone, for the rest of his life.
He would have lost the man he loved and never been able to acknowledge it.
And in that moment, everything Crowell said, everything they feared about the league, it all just seemed extremely unimportant. It's that profound clarity you only get from the threat of catastrophe.
And what follows is the definitive commitment. Shane drives secretly back to Ottawa.
He sets up Ilya's living room with 1,000,000 candles, electric, thankfully.
Which is a hilarious detail. Ilya immediately asks if he's trying to burn the house down.
A little bit of humor in the tension, but then Shane proposes. He makes the definitive choice. I choose you, Ilya. I promise I will always, always choose you.
And Ilya is just in shock. He realizes Shane knows his full Russian middle name, Ilya Grigorievich Rozanov.
It's this incredibly intimate detail that proves Shane sees all of him, not just the hockey player.
And the ring itself symbolizes their situation. It's a simple black band with a gold interior, but it's too small for Ilya's finger.
So Ilya chooses to wear it on his mother's crucifix chain around his neck, hidden under his jersey. It's an engagement that's physically hidden, but emotionally, spiritually, it's absolute.
So now that the internal commitment is absolute, the outside world is about to catch up. Fast.
Yes. Section 6, the outing and the immediate, unavoidable aftermath.
This is where we get the fucking shit show that Shane was so afraid of, and it happens completely by accident.
Which just proves that no amount of OPSEC is foolproof. The league is caused by Shane's well-meaning but not-so-bright teammate, Hayden Pike.
Right. He posts a fan mail video that was filmed in Shane's trophy room.
And because of a mirror reflecting the window, the video clearly captures Shane and Ilya kissing, like really kissing, a lot. And just like that, the secret is out, digitally, for the whole world.
Hayden is immediately apologetic, but the damage is done. And the repercussions are instantaneous.
And they come straight from the top. Commissioner Crowell, true to his word about hating unnecessary drama, he benches both players indefinitely. And the timing is catastrophic because their teams are likely first-round playoff opponents.
It just amplifies the drama tenfold. And the team reactions really contrast the different cultures. Shane faces immediate hostility in the Montreal locker room.
Teammates like Como are openly questioning if Shane, fell on purpose to help Ilya score in the playoffs. It's an outright accusation of professional betrayal just because of who he loves.
And the emotional fallout with his friend, JJ, is immense.
JJ is furious, not just because Shane is dating his arch rival, but because Shane had lied for years, pretending he just had this tragic, unrequited crush on Ilya. It's the lie that feels like a betrayal.
But Ilya's team, the Ottawa Centaurs, they react with far more support.
So much more. They're making jokes about Ilya stealing the fucking spotlight from Troy Barrett, who had just come out. Another player, Wyatt Hayes, notices the ring on Ilya's chain, and Ilya proudly confirms their engagement.
So it seems like the Centaurs' culture is already evolving, providing Ilya the support Shane just doesn't have in Montreal.
Which leads to the final showdown, the confrontation with Crowell. The commissioner, seeing this playoff disaster looming, offers them an out, a conditional and frankly insulting one.
He says the league will release a statement claiming the kissing was a stupid, drunken prank.
And they can keep their careers, play in the playoffs, but they must not get married, and they must publicly maintain the secret.
This is it. This is the moment of truth.
And Crowell tries to use fear, threatening their legacy, saying they'll be professional jokes. But Shane has already faced a deeper fear losing Ilya.
So he gives the final answer.
The defiant final answer that ends the whole charade. I choose him. Come on, Ilya. And they just walk out.
They leave the meeting, They prioritize their relationship over everything the league is demanding.
And that walkout is the true climax of their entire journey.
And taking that professional risk, it immediately connects them with this incredible network of support.
Yeah, that's Section 7, resolution. They meet with Scott Hunter, the very same player Crubble warned Shane about. And it turns out Hunter is forming this group of players, including Max Riley and Leah Campbell.
And what's the group's mission?
To fight toxic hockey culture. And the source material is very clear. This is a wide umbrella. Racism, sexism, transphobia, homophobia, rape culture. Hunter offers them his full support, recognizing that change has to come from the inside.
And they get this powerful, deeply empathetic support from the most unexpected place.
From Coach Wiebe, Ilya's coach. He pulls Ilya aside and shares his own secret. He's bisexual, and he had a secret relationship with a teammate early in his career.
Wow.
Yeah. And while he's happily married to his wife now, his revelation gives Ilya this deep institutional empathy. It shows that even the older guard is capable of growth.
And life goes on outside the professional drama too, grounding them in domesticity. Ilya adopts a dog.
He does, a sweet, abandoned dog he names Anya. And he immediately becomes this devoted, maybe a little over-the-top dog owner.
Dog hotels, spa visits.
Booties for the salt on the streets. And Shane is completely charmed by it. It's this lovely counterpoint to his own controlled nature, seeing Ilya embrace this other kind of responsibility.
And then the ultimate professional commitment follows. Shane gets signed by the Ottawa Centaurs.
In July, finally joining Ilya's team, it eliminates the rivalry barrier completely. And Ilya, of course, teases him that his hazing will be having to wear the Centaurs jersey for team photos.
Which leads to the climax of their personal story, the wedding.
They hold it in their backyard at Ilya's house in July with close to 100 guests. And the details are just so heartwarming. Ilya's in a burgundy suit. Shane's dad, David, helps him with his cufflinks, calling him his second son.
And Shane's mom, Una, fusses over him, telling him he looks like Kid Harington.
A nice little touch of family humor. And the guest list just signals this new, reconciled, queer-friendly hockey community they've built. It includes both their families, teammates.
And significantly, JJ is there.
He is. Which signals that their friendship has been rebuilt, proving that the honesty, however painful, worked.
And the ceremony itself is deliberately casual. No chairs.
A total rejection of the rigid formality Shane usually embraces. It ends with Ilya just declaring, "We are married," and kissing Shane to huge cheers. And right after, they post an Instagram video confirming everything.
See you in October, hockey fans. It's the ultimate mic drop to Crowell and the entire traditional hockey world. They took control of their own story.
It's such a powerful conclusion, but the source material also gives us this important supplemental insight into the wider pressures across the league, which kind of reinforces why their struggle was so hard.
Right, which brings us to Section 8, looking at the pressure on rookies and other players. We have these excerpts from Seasons Change.
And they contrast the veteran struggles of Shane and Ilya with these acute, high-stress experiences of younger players. You take Ollie Jervinen, a 24-year-old veteran traded to a new team.
And he's suffering from extreme anxiety. He's physically sick, puking multiple times during training camp because of emotional issues and lack of preparation.
You see his internal monologue. He feels totally out of his depth. He's considering quitting. He deleted his dad's voicemails for the first time ever because he just couldn't handle the judgment. The pressure is manifesting physically.
And then you have Benji Brzezinski, a 22-year-old rookie. His stress is focused more on image and money. He's worried about his old 2002 Toyota truck next to his teammates' luxury cars.
And he's dealing with this deep-seated anger from his family life, and he's trying to manage it all by channeling his therapist's advice to go into his body and just breathe.
So what this really highlights is that whether you're a 30-year-old superstar like Shane, a veteran in a new city like Ollie, or a hopeful rookie like Benji,
the NHL environment is just universally high pressure. It amplifies every single personal and professional struggle. It reinforces the sheer scale of what Shane and Ilya were up against. Their relationship wasn't just battling a rivalry, it was battling a professional world that amplifies every vulnerability.
Exactly. The whole environment is designed to push players to their absolute limits. So if established, successful, rich players like Shane and Ilya struggled so profoundly, you can only imagine what it does to a rookie who's already puking from anxiety.
It connects right back to what Galina said about the dangerous, taxing nature of hockey. It's an environment that demands you be only one thing, a performer, and it penalizes vulnerability. It makes their struggles not unique, but an extreme example of the pervasive cost of success.
So as we pull back and synthesize this in our final section, what does it all mean? What are the key takeaways from the long game?
Well, I think the main insight over and over again is the transformative power of radical honesty. Ilya's decision to tell Galina the complete, unvarnished truth. That was the first domino.
It forced him out of isolation. It showed that healing couldn't happen under the weight of that lie.
Honesty led to health. And second, the absolute necessity of choosing love over professional expectation. The confrontation with Crowell proves that the only way to truly win the long game was to reject the league's conditional acceptance.
Shane's realization after the plane threat that hiding was extremely unimportant compared to losing Ilya, that was the internal clarity he needed for that external defiant act.
The relationship wasn't just about surviving a rivalry. It was about securing a full future marriage, dogs, family, despite the entire hockey world, embodied by Crowell telling them they shouldn't.
It's an incredible story of perseverance and cultural transformation in a deeply resistant environment. So as we wrap up this deep dive, here's a final provocative thought for you to mull over.
The source material shows that while the old guard of the league, represented by Crowell, tries to control the narrative and maintain this rigid hockey-first culture, the players themselves, from superstars like Shane and Ilya to supportive coaches like Weeb and activists like Scott Hunter, are actively creating a new, inclusive culture on their own terms.
So the question is, what happens when the fundamental culture of a professional sport changes, not from the top down, through league mandates, but from the bottom up, driven by the courage and the shared experiences of the very people the league employs?
That's a question worth exploring long after the final whistle blows.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the long game. We'll see you next time.